Good evening, the world. Good evening, the Africans. Oh, I have a question. An object is falling freely from the space to the earth. The question is there any opposite force that acts against the action of falling? Or I can ask like this: is there any opposite force that is acts against the gravity? If there is no any force that is acts against the gravity during the falling process of an object, how can we believe Newton's third law that it has got no any exception? If there is a force that acts against the gravity, then the question is, what is that force? And how can we prove the existence of that force? But if there is no existence of that force, how can we believe that Newton's third law has no any exception? Remember, Newton's third law says that to every action, remember, an action is force. To every action, there's equal and opposite reaction. Reaction is nothing but the force after the force. The force that appears after another force. That's what we call it a reaction. Or an action that appears after another action, because action is nothing but the force. Now, an object is falling freely. The gravitational force is pulling an object towards the earth. There must be another force that acts against the falling in order to believe or to make it true Newton's third law. Unless otherwise, Newton's third law has exceptional. That's point number one. Point number two. Consider a shuttle moving. There is a force that pulls the body or the shuttle. And there is another force that acts against the pulling system, against the force. That force that acts against the force or against the action of the shuttle is what we can call it the frictional force. Now the question is, if to every action there is equal and opposite reaction, an opposite reaction of a shuttle moving is a frictional force. The question is the frictional force equal to the force that makes the body to move? Point number one. Point number two. Is the frictional force equals to the force that makes the shuttle to move? But remember, a frictional force is the force that acts against the force that pulls the body. Thank you.